What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Full No Gaming, and today we're going to be talking about the brand new Grandmaster Nightfalls. More specifically, we're going to talk about a super powerful build that's going to help you be successful in these Nightfalls, as well as work your way towards the coveted Conqueror title. The specific build I'm going to be going over today is for a Warlock, but a lot of the build mechanics, strategy, team synergy, and mods can all be applied to all the other classes in the game as well. We're also going to be putting out a bunch of other build guides for the other classes, as well as in-depth Grandmaster Nightfall guides, so be sure to check out our channel and subscribe for more. So right off the bat, it's important to know exactly what makes a Grandmaster Nightfall so challenging, so that way we can create a build that helps us overcome these challenging elements. Grandmaster Nightfalls have a power level difficulty of 1050, while all players will be capped at 1025, giving a 25 light difference between you and the enemies you will be facing. The playlist also features extinguish and limited revive modifiers, making it crucial that you and your fire team limit the amount of deaths you have during the activity. Because of this, a lot of our build is going to be focused on survivability rather than raw firepower. The playlist will also feature more champions, additional shields, less ammo drops, along with a variety of other things that we will try to also address in this build. These modifiers will change weekly, so be sure to check the current Nightfall each week. So let's get started. First, we're going to take the Solar subclass, and we're going to take the middle tree with Well of Radiance. The Well of Radiance provides a huge amount of survivability for you and your team, and in my opinion, is the #1 option for Warlocks entering into the Grandmaster Nightfall. For the grenade, it's really your personal preference, but I would take the Firebolt grenade as it does a large amount of damage with a lot of ease of use. For your Rift, I would almost always take a Healing Rift as survivability is so important. The only other time I would maybe take Empowering is if you were running with multiple Warlocks. This build is going to be a part of the popular 2 Izanagi 1 Divinity strategy that you see in a lot of Nightfalls already. And this one specifically is going to be a DPS focused Slayer build with the Izanagis. For those of you who aren't aware, the Divinity and double Izanagi strategy entails one person applying the Divinity debuff to the enemy champions, while the 2 Izanagi players shoot a Hone Dead shot at the same time, killing the champion immediately. The catalyst will be crucial for this to make sure you have enough damage to kill the enemy before it has a chance to use its special ability like Barrier or Overload Regeneration. In my second slot, I'm running the Traveler's Judgment, which is an arc sidearm. This allows me to run the anti-barrier mod so that I can take down the shields of barriers that we aren't able to kill on the first go. During Season of Worthy, the only 2 guns in the game that can have anti-barrier are sidearms and submachine guns, and I chose to take a sidearm because of the increased range over submachine guns. When facing such powerful enemies in a Grandmaster, you're not going to be able to get up close and personal with them without being easily killed. That's why the extra range gives you the flexibility of hiding behind cover that may be a little bit further away from the enemies. As for the element type, the Traveler's Judgment is arc, but you could switch it for another sidearm with a different elemental type, depending on the Nightfall shield requirements. In the heavy slot, I almost always take a grenade launcher with spike grenades. This allows me to deal incredible burst damage to the boss and the adds. In the mod slot, I'll normally take major spec as I am normally targeting tankier mobs such as champions. Once again, you can trade out the grenade launcher based on the elemental needs of the current Nightfall. Another great example is Swarm of the Raven with spike grenades as well. When building your loadout, it is going to be very important that your special weapon and your heavy weapon are different element types. This will help you have diversity throughout the strike to make sure that you can clear shields at all times, since there are additional shields in the Grandmaster Nightfalls. Some Nightfalls will require all 3 elemental types, but many only have 2. We post a lot of info about this in our Discord, so be sure to join if you're looking for that. Masterworked weapons will also be important because they allow you to spawn orbs of light just by getting multi-kills. As we move on to the armor, it is important to note that you will need to be 1025 power to even attempt the Grandmasters. Right now, I'm 1 level short simply because I haven't infused my gloves yet. So just be sure that your current gear has enough power as you create your build. As a rule of thumb, I don't really worry about the overall gear stat categories, but more so the mods and the overall stat roll. But if you do have the luxury of choosing between armor pieces, I would recommend focusing on recovery and intellect. Recovery will allow you to heal faster and place more wells for you and your team, increasing your survivability greatly. Intellect is also great, allowing you to cast more supers, keeping you guys alive inside the well, and creating orbs for your team. Chaining supers is going to be extremely important when trying to beat these Nightfalls. I would also make sure all of your gear is masterworked. This adds plus 12 to the total stat count and 2 in each category. And when added up across all of your gear, totals to 60 total stat points and 1 tier in each category. These points really add up and could be the difference between living or dying in a clutch situation or getting your ability back just that much faster. Let's move into the helmet. So the helmet is one of 2 slots that will greatly help your ammo management. Since I'm running a sniper and a grenade launcher, I've taken a void helmet, allowing me to run ammo finders for both sniper rifles and grenade launchers. This is going to be imperative to deal with the large number of champions and major enemies. I've also taken concussive dampener, which decreases the incoming area of effect damage from combatants. This can help a lot with modifiers that cause enemies to drop splash damage upon death, which are quite common in Nightfalls. This build is also going to have an emphasis on charged light, and specifically a team synergy of charged light that's going to help tremendously with your survivability. In this slot, I've taking a charge mod, which allows you to become charged with light by picking up orbs of light. Considering the amount of supers you should be chaining with your teammates, and if your weapons are masterworked, there should be a lot of orbs down, allowing you to get charged rather quickly. If you weren't able to pick up these Season of Dawn armor mods, feel free to sub them out with ones you may have, such as an empowered finisher or precisely charged. As we move into the glove slot, I opted for an arc elemental type to allow me to put Powerful Friends on. Powerful Friends is extremely popular in PvP because it gives you a plus 20 mobility boost, but we're using it here to allow us to charge our friends with light when we become charged. If all 3 of your fire team members are running Powerful Friends, this creates great synergy, allowing you all to become charged with light when each other receives a charge. This becomes very powerful because it allows you to be charged with light triple the amount of time that you normally would be. And I highly recommend your entire fire team uses it when running with charged with light synergy builds. I've also taken enhanced small arms loader to greatly increase the reload speed of either my sidearm or submachine gun I'm using for anti-barrier. I can't tell you how many times this saved me when my gun didn't have enough ammo and I had to reload midway through taking down a barrier. Without this mod, I wouldn't have been able to get the reload off quick enough and the barrier champion would have healed back to full. I've also decided to take impact induction here, as I do find myself meleeing a lot of aggro enemies, such as Thrall, but you can switch this out based on your playstyle. In the chest slot, I've chosen to take my exotic piece, which is Phoenix Protocol. I highly recommend that every well warlock uses this, as it allows you to get your super back extremely fast, and sometimes even before your current well has run out. I have farmed multiple Phoenix protocols so that I can have the separate energy types, but once again have chosen to take the void element type so that I can have grenade launcher and sniper reserves. This will allow you to start off with more ammo after going to the tribute hall, and will allow you to stack up when you get multiple ammo drops to hold you over during those dry spouts, which we all know will happen. I've also taken major resist here, so I think it's a good time to talk about the different resist mods. There are 3 resist mods that are critical to your build: minor, major, and boss resist. Each of these mods applies a 10% damage reduction to its respective enemy type. And 10% may not seem like a lot, but it can make a huge difference in the long run. I run these mods constantly and always find myself barely surviving with just a sliver of health where I would have otherwise died without them. These mods do not stack, so make sure you just have one of each throughout your build. The leg armor slot applies the second major mod that will really help with your ammo economy, which is scavenger mods. These scavenger mods will give you bonus reserves when you pick up ammo, which is super important since many of these Nightfalls will already have decreased ammo drops to begin with. Once again, I've opted for the void legs to allow me to run sniper rifle scavenger, but I've opted to use the heavy ammo scavenger rather than the grenade launcher. If you look at the grenade launcher, it actually only grants bonus reserves when you pick up special ammo. This applies to all special weapons, and most people don't know that, so running this would be pointless and would result in no extra ammo for me. The only scavenger mod that grants increased heavy ammo at this point is the general heavy ammo scavenger mod. This is kind of useful though, as if you ever need to change off of a grenade launcher and use, say, a machine gun, this will still grant you the additional ammo and you won't need to change mods. I've also taken the bread and butter of our charge light system here, Protective Light. Now hopefully you guys have this mod because it is extremely powerful, especially in top tier PvE content, and will make your life a hell of a lot easier if you're able to use this. While charged with light, you gain significant damage resistance against combatants when your shields are destroyed. This effect consumes all stacks of charged with light. The more stacks consumed, the longer the damage resistance lasts. Now, it doesn't give you an exact number for how much damage resistance, but in my testing, enemies had to deal more damage just to take down my red bar than they did my entire shield. I cannot tell you how many times this has saved my life and how many lives it will save you in a Grand Master Nightfall, especially when limited revives are a concern. This will be game changing for you and your whole fire team, which is why I highly recommend everyone uses it if it's available. This is also why it's very important to have on synergy mods like Powerful Friends that allow you to share charges with your teammates when you pick them up. Ideally, you want to have 2 stacks of charge with light at all times, giving you a strong buffer between life and death if you take on massive damage. The loss of 10 strength here is nothing compared to the survivability and value that is added by this mod. Finally, as we move into the class item, I'll take my boss resist mod. I also just noticed I am missing a minor mod in my build, so I'll come up here and replace concussive dampener with the minor resist. I would much rather have the flat rate 10% decrease in damage from general adds compared to situational area of effect damage that I could simply move out of and avoid entirely. Back to the class item, I've also opted for Special Finisher, which I highly recommend for you and your team. Special Finisher grants special ammo for you and your entire fire team every time you finish an enemy, but it does take away 1/3 of your current super energy. I think it's really important that all 3 players run this, so that way if you ever need special energy, you can create as much as you need. It also allows you the flexibility to choose who sacrifice their super for it. If you move into the final boss room and you have your full super ready to drop a well for damage, while another hunter on your team is only halfway towards their tether, it'd be much better for them to use their super energy, as they probably won't gain their super back before the end of the strike. But if they don't have the Special Finisher mod on, then you'll be forced to sacrifice your super energy, meaning you won't have a well for the final encounter. Things like this can be game changing when trying to complete a strike, especially if you have limited lives left. I also highly recommend using Distribution here, which reduces all ability cooldowns when using your class ability. This is super powerful for Warlocks because of how often you have your well up while using the Middle Tree Solar class. If you and your teammates are constantly standing in your rifts, you should be able to generate rifts infinitely, which will in turn greatly increase the number of melees and grenades you can throw throughout an encounter. Another great mod, if not the best mod to use in your build, would be a barrier mod. These are rare mods that not all players have access to, as they drop from the older raids, but they are extremely powerful if you have them. These mods reduce the damage taken for 10 seconds upon receiving damage. And if you have one that matches the current strike, it essentially decreases the damage taken by 20% for the entire activity. This provides you with an insane amount of survivability and outweighs the value of any other mod in my opinion, especially for only 1 energy cost. Currently, there are 3 barrier mods for Taken, Fallen, and Hive. The Taken one can be found in The Last Wish, Fallen can be found in Scourge of the Past, and Hive is found in Crown of Sorrow. These are all found in the secret chests inside of these raids. If you don't have one of these mods, or the energy type doesn't apply, feel free to take another Charge with Light mod like Shield Break Charge. Also remember that when creating your certain build, if you're struggling to find space for mods, you can move around these resist mods rather easily, as the boss resist takes 2 energy and major and minor only take 1. Since my class item wasn't full on energy, I decided to take the boss mod here, freeing up energy space on another piece. So in summary, I'm going to be using the Izanagi's Burden to kill all the champions with the double Izanagi 1 divinity combo. I'm going to be using my Traveler's Judgment to kill general adds and take down barriers if we aren't able to kill them in one go. And I'm going to use my grenade launcher both to break elemental shields and deal massive damage to enemies that we need to kill quickly. For my Charge with Light setup, I have Taking Charge, which grants me a charge of light whenever I pick up an orb of light. Paired with Powerful Friends, this allows me to charge all of my teammates, and if your teammates are using this as well, this allows your entire fire team to stay charged with light quite frequently. That paired with Protective Light gives me incredible survivability whenever I'm injured and saves those charges for when I need them most. The Protective Light damage reduction also pairs greatly with Hive Barrier reduction, making it extremely difficult to kill me, which is what makes this build so powerful. When lives matter most, it's things like this that will make the difference for you. So that's pretty much it, guys. We spent a lot of time putting this build together and really testing everything out to make sure the survivability works. And I must say, it has been extremely powerful in the 1030 Nightfalls, and I think it will translate over to the Grandmasters. Me and my teammates have been able to get through 1030 Master Nightfalls extremely quickly, extremely aggressively, just pushing without ever dying. So with good communication, the Grandmaster Nightfalls should be no problem at all. So I hope this build has helped you guys out and just generally giving you some insight on how you can build your character to be a lot tankier, have a lot more survivability, and just make you more successful in high-end gameplay. If it did help you guys out, be sure to drop a like, subscribe for more content. We're going to be coming out with way more guides on this and everything else. We're talking about doing some Crucible stuff as well. So we're going to have all kinds of Destiny content here. Be sure to check out our live show. We talk about great stuff every week on the Guardian Report, which is our live show. Hit our Discord. We're always there for information. If you guys have any questions, drop in the comments. Drop what you think of the build out. If you have ideas, drop those out. We want to hear from you guys. So hope it helps, and good luck out there on the Grandmasters. We'll see you next week. Peace.